Good to go? All right. Welcome, everybody, to season 4, episode 9 of Ozmedia's Motivate Me 313 podcast. We have a great show lined up for you today. Today's topic is all about women's independence in Islam, a double-edged sword. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing now that women are becoming more independent, specifically Muslim women? So that's what we're going to dive into today. I'm looking forward to a great show. Before we even get into how you can follow us, let me introduce everyone that's in the building. Of course, you got little big bro Yusuf T on the ones and twos in the back doing his thing. You got myself, Omar T. To the right of me, still holding the middle seat down as big sis Abir T. And then next to her, a great friend, few times been on the podcast, Ruma Begum. Podcast favorite, Ruma Begum. Go ahead and give her a round of applause. Representing the country of Bangladesh in the building as well. So shout out to Ruma. We appreciate her. Great friend of ours. Shout out to her brother Sipu as well. Man, we got to get him on the show, to be honest with you. We got to get Sipu definitely on the show, at least the fantasy show. I know he plays fantasy football. Shout out to him too. So with that said, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. You have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under Ozmedia 313. And if you want to find all those things on one site, you can visit our website at ozmedia313.com. And don't forget, if you want to call in to our future shows that are live, the number is 313-306-1750. Shout out to the sponsors of this show, Hanley International Academy, Holy Bowly, Wing Fellas, Juice Box, Melek Kebab, Jabed Coffee House, and Royal Kebab. Yusuf, let's start off with the place that has the best bowls in town, which is Holy Bowly, and then we're going to keep things rolling. So shout out to Holy Bowly. Holy moly, you have to try out Holy Bowly. Holy Bowly is your go-to destination for vibrant bowls and delicious sandwiches. Everything they serve is 100% fresh, and they have halal options as well. Their mouth-watering bowls are always packed to the top, so you know you're getting the most bang for your buck. They currently have 2 locations in Detroit, and you can check out all their food on their website at www.myholybowly.com. All right, we're officially rolling. So today's topic, obviously, it's one of those interesting ones that, might stir some pots, you know what I'm saying? But we are coming at it again from a perspective. Every conversation that we have, we're coming at it from our own experiences, so nothing that we say means that we're professionals. We're just trying to start conversations that we know people either are afraid to talk about or are talking about behind closed doors. So that's what it is today. Again, it's all about women's independence in Islam, a double-edged sword, ? Okay, so Ruma, first of all, let's start off with you. How have you been? You've been on our show. I think we were just talking about it 2 years ago. Yeah. You started really popping off. Then you didn't want to talk to us for a good year and a half. So now you're back. Ruma, how have you been? Everything good?
Everything's been good. Actually, I took a break. Life has been lifing. So I took a break from everything for a while. It's not that I popped off, guys. I was actually getting things in order. But alhamdulillah, God is good and I'm here. So good.
And Abir, it's been a while since we actually recorded a show together. How you been?
Just work, school, home, gym. That's it.
That's good.
Alhamdulillah.
Sounds like a good, complete life right there, Abir. So kudos to you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
There you go. All right. So, again, let's just drive
How about you, Ahmad? How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Busy. Life, school. Actually, no school.
Service.
Yeah, I was saying no school.
Community service.
Yeah, community service, life. Obviously, media is kind of has allowed us to still be connected with the community. So, alhamdulillah, and I work for the city of Hamtramck. So, Hamtramck low-key has been on the news for better or for worse this last couple weeks. It's been a little crazy. Yeah, is that a round of applause?
Yeah, that's
okay,
a round
go ahead.
of
There we go. Now, I was thinking about it yesterday. Like, think about any city that's 2.2 square miles. Name me a city that has been on the news that has 2.2 square miles more than Hamtramck.
Yeah.
Like, we find our way on the news somehow, some way. Yeah, it's crazy.
We're going to
For
get
better
there.
or for worse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to get there.
Exactly. So that's funny. But alhamdulillah, though, overall, alhamdulillah. So let's talk about it, all right? Independence of Muslim women, especially, obviously, in the religion of Islam. So what cultural changes have contributed to the increasing independence of Muslim women? Ruma, I guess we'll start off with you on this one as well.
I don't think it has changed. I think since the beginning of times that we were always taught to be independent. because if you go back to Islamic history, it shows that women were encouraged to be independent. And I can get into all of the stories, but I'll start off light right now. But I think what's happening is that culture does shift that independence for women. So in religion, we're given this right to be independent, follow the rights that we have are protected for us to be independent, right? But with culture, that's where it gets a little hazy, because culture tells women that they have a set sort of jobs, a set sort of standard, the double standards kick in. And I think that's where we have to divide those lines. And we have to understand that women are supposed to be independent.
I'm happy that you said that, because a lot of people get that mixed up and confused, especially, people who are not familiar with the religion, like to think that, it's a religion thing that women are not supposed to be independent, but really it's a culture thing.
Yeah, I was in a therapy session actually, and she happened to be an American woman of a different religion, and I was telling her some of the things that we have to face with cultural barriers, and she told me, she's like, well, that's a part of your religion. And I was like, absolutely not. That's not a part of my religion. I was like, we have Khadija radiallahu anha, who was a business owner, an entrepreneur, who actually proposed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was 25 or 30 years older, right? So these are all the barriers, and a widow or a divorcee. So like, these are all things that are completely opposite to what the culture promotes, right?
Yeah.
So you should be independent, and culture does kind of put that little haze into it.
Abir?
Yeah, I wanted to say a couple things. I was talking to a couple of my students about voting, and then how it just didn't start, now. And then one of my, the IC was in the room, and she was like, yeah, did you guys know that women weren't allowed to buy their own home until recently or whatever? And I'm just like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So I went back and I was like Googling, like, when, and I have it right here. Basically, women weren't allowed to buy a home without a man in 1974. That's when they passed the law. And I was like, Islam we were allowed to have land long before that. You know what I'm saying? And even divorce, women weren't allowed to initiate divorce until 1969.
And in America?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Me too. I was looking up like women, laws, like, and I was like, our Islam, definitely holds us down.
Yeah. It protects us.
100%. And then like with that culture shift, I think, this is my own opinion. So back in the day, like obviously when Islam was Islam and we just followed Islam and not culture, women were working and even going to war and fighting in battles. And I feel like when a lot of our people came to America, the women didn't speak English that well, whatever. So they stayed at home more. You know what I'm saying? They weren't working. The men were out working. And I feel like that is when the culture really shifted. Yeah. And then we noticed, our daughters are actually educated and they're smart. They can maybe make us some money. And I feel like that's when it started shifting more, letting our daughters go to school, letting them, because it was something new.
Yeah.
I don't know if do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because a lot of times in families, it's just the son is the breadwinner. Yeah. So we have to cater to him and let him get away with whatever and do whatever because he's going to bring in the bread.
Right.
But they didn't realize, like, no, the girls can do even, if not more, you know? So.
And they've realized it now. That's why meher prices have gone up by 500%. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Meher is so funny. Meher is a form of protection as well. A lot of people don't know that, but the reason why we have meher is because you're supposed to protect the woman from, if there is a divorce and she's not working and taking care of the kids, and she has to sustain herself afterward. So
yeah, but it's been going crazy though. It's been business deal.
Know your worth.
So, access to education, do you feel like it has also, what influence do you feel like it has had on the independence of Muslim women, if any? Do you feel like education has
110%? That's what I was kind of like, going into. Our mothers didn't get to go to school, and that's where like they are not. It's hard for them to become independent because they don't know how it is out there. You know what I'm saying? They can't really rely on themselves. But I feel like with girls, school was like, our way,
out.
To get our independence, our way out. And it not only did it motivate us, but it made us become go-getters. It provided us the knowledge that we needed to become independent. And also at the same time, it made us find our passion, instead of just thinking that, and kudos to whoever chose to have that life, but just being at home. You know what I'm saying? It made us find a passion and actually build ourselves mentally, emotionally, even physically.
But I also want to say it's not to knock people down who are at home or not independent. Because my mom, I watched her be a matriarch for a very long time. When we lived in New York, she had to figure out the subway systems. And this is a woman who doesn't know English or anything.
100%.
She has to, find her way through the city. And it's like, and this is a homemaker of 3 kids, So there's independent in like, we think like financial stability. But there's also independence in like, I can do my own thing without somebody guiding,
100%.
Yeah.
I can even say that about mom. Like she was one of the first people that knew how to drive. You know what I'm saying?
That's huge.
100%.
Because in countries they're not even allowed to drive at times, right? So
100%. And dad was
us.
working the whole time, so she was making our appointments and figuring it out. And wallah, like our appointments were always on point, and we were 8 kids, mashallah, you know. So what I 100%. I like that you said that for sure.
No, for sure, and I that is a great point that you mentioned, was that because there's different kinds of independence, and so if they're holding it down in the household and doing everything that comes with being that person that's the face of being the parents, to be honest with you, because if your dad is always working,
parent-teacher conferences,
all that. Yeah. So definitely agree with that.
Moms don't get enough credit for that stuff that we grew up watching. They don't.
I agree.
They don't.
Yeah.
I agree. So how about economic necessity? I know you mentioned now women are starting to make that money.
Yeah.
So how much of that has driven Muslim women independence?
For a very long time, in my opinion, is that marriage was that solution for economic stability for a lot of women, because they were told, hey, your husband will take care of everything. That's just how it's supposed to go. But I think what we're also, especially our generation, we're kind of witnessing like marriage isn't always the solution, because sometimes you can end up married and financially stable, but end up in a very abusive household, or, maybe he may not be financially stable, so it's very important for a woman and young girls too to understand that, start understanding finances and just have it in your pocket. Whichever way, if you can do it, just do it. Like that's very key for women.
Yep. I bet you want to add on to that.
100%. Everything that she said times 2. We, like you said, we grow up in a way where our dad is taking care of us, and then we assume we get married and then our husband's taking care of us. And then, with everything going on in the world, even like just the cost of living is just wild. And if you do want to have a good life, it will probably, you might need a double income home or whatever the case may be. But regardless of the situation, you should set yourself up to the point where, with a man or without a man, you are able to survive in this world. Like it's not easy anymore. You can't just, and then you don't want to be, I don't want to say a burden or whatever, but you don't want, especially when you're grown, or if you're, divorced or whatever, you don't want to put all of that on your family. Like, you want to be an example for your kids. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just to have it for yourself, to have that security. And if you do end up with a man that can take care of you fully, then that's great too.
It's
but you
always
still
going
have
to
your
be
own.
his money is my money is my money.
Listen, but at the and you never. I mean, Allah la qal, but a tragedy could happen. Yeah. You can lose your husband, and then what? You know what I'm saying? So it's always good to make sure that you're good.
Yeah.
Teacher Abid is in full form right now. I know y'all see that. Teacher Abid.
It's hard to follow behind Naruma because she hits the spots, and I'm just adding on to, mashallah, her good ideas.
Woman empowerment right now, huh? No, I'm joking, but they are saying some great things. I kind of want to, I'm looking at these questions to see how we're going to stir the pot up. But while we do that, can we go ahead and run our next ad of today, Yusuf? So let's go ahead and give a shout out to Wingfellas, all right? So shout out to Wingfellas, our great friends over there at Wingfellas, and we'll keep things rolling. Do you know what goes perfect with the big game or your favorite TV show? Some deliciously tender wings from Wingfellas. Wingfellas restaurant is home to the best wings in Michigan. With over 20 different sauces and seasonings to choose from, you can make sure every wing order you make caters to your taste buds. They have 7 different locations in Michigan. They have a location in Dearborn, Southfield, Detroit, Belleville, Wyandotte, Flint, and Taylor. So no matter where you are at in the state, Wingfellas is your one-stop shop for some fall-off-the-bone wings. Also, be sure to visit them at their website at thewingfellas.com.
Say something.
Abid, you were bringing up a great point while we were on ad break. What were you saying?
Like another reason why like we have, as women, we have to make sure that we're secure and we're, taken care of, on our own in a way, is because like, and this is my opinion because I don't want to get dragged either, but I feel like I seen this one video and this one guy who was successful, and then the guy said, what do you regret? He's like, I regret not building myself before I ran to the money. He was saying that, when I was in high school, I wanted to get the money, I wanted to get the cars, I wanted to get the girls, but I didn't know what to do with the money. I didn't have no religion. Like I didn't get my religion down. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't, watch podcasts, learn how to build myself first. He's like, I wish the time when I was still living with my mom that I was building my character, building my body, building my, worth ethic, all of that. And then getting the car, getting the woman, he's like, I wasted all that time. And I feel like that's something that our people
don't understand.
Yeah. Like and even like the older dads, they came in with nothing and they had to grind and they had to make it happen. But I feel like when their kids were in like high school or whatever, like because they struggled, they want to like, oh, I'll buy you a nice car. But what is that nice car going to teach your son? Or, spoil them in a way where they don't even know what to do. Like they don't know what to do when they come into the real life. But instead, when you're in those high school years, take some classes. Like alhamdulillah, now we have a lot of like shuyukh that speak English that you can actually relate to. Go to the gym, build a good routine. Take some classes on financial literacy. Build who you are as a man before you try to chase after the girls or the money or the the nice cars. I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel like that's like literally the foundation. Because then at the end of the day, you are going to be the man of the house. You're going to take care of a family. You're the leader. You're the qawam, not the qawam as in like, oh, I'm the boss. You're the guardian of that home and that family, and you have a responsibility. So build yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and then chase after the money. Sorry.
That's it. We're done with the show.
No. But like, you know what I'm saying?
No, this is actually very true. Even for women too.
100%.
Discipline and understanding financial literacy. Because I can attest to that where, we come into a little bit of money and we're like, oh, what do we do with this?
Yes.
Buy clothes, buy shoes, buy, nice things. And it's like, okay, then it comes and then it goes. And then how do you rebuild? How do you invest? How do you build up from there? So yeah, that's a very key point. I love that.
And like in our mind, because when we get money when we're girls, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we're gonna get married anyways. He's gonna take care of everything, so I could waste my money. And it's like, no, that's not always the case. You know, subhanallah. Like, did I think in a million years I was gonna buy a house in the future?
Right.
No, I didn't know that I was gonna buy a house in the future. But subhanallah, like, you get into situations that you don't know what's gonna happen. So, and like you said, both. But I feel like with girls, because we're not chasing the money when we're so young, we do go to school. And we do take class. We're more sheltered in a way, and then we kind of like pop off in a way.
Yeah. We're like late bloomers.
Yeah, and then like I feel like if boys really did focus on themselves first a little bit before they're chasing the money, it would be a little bit. We'd have some leaders.
I think it's more apparent in our communities because we come from nothing, so no one knows what having stability looks like. So it's really important to know that it's more than just the flashy things or the clothes, the cars, or whatever, right? But to secure yourself, it's going to require stepping out of the community of that flashiness, right? So.
That's true.
And that community is social media most times than not, which leads us to our next question of how has social media, I guess we're talking about just impacted the independence of Muslim women, but also impacted what you just mentioned about the guys and how they are too. So in general, how has social media impacted how we view our roles and everything else that you just mentioned?
I think social media can be a beautiful thing and it can be toxic as well. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of the things that I've learned were through podcasts and through other women going through things and seeing. And I've learned so much and it motivated, me as, in my situation as well. But then again, you do, and inshallah, like we get to the point, all of us, where we're like content with who we are and what Allah has, given us and that is like, but there is that like toxic competition. There is that like, or also like people seeing someone do well, but also, putting them down, you know what I'm saying? Or judging them over certain things. And it can be, a little distasteful or even like demotivating in a way. So, like I said, it can be toxic. It can be motivating. You just have to make sure that you kind of clean up your feed and who you're following and what you're looking at to like help you motivate you in a positive direction. But as for women, I'm not gonna lie, I would have never known all the amazing, powerful women that are Muslim and even non-Muslim until seeing social media, because especially coming from a small town, you don't get to see a lot, and it opens your eyes to what's actually out there. Like your little drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
And before you're like, everybody's gonna talk about me, and nobody knows you.
No.
Just come live your life.
Social media has been it's been so important in my life because it's what got me out initially. So I want to say, like, yes, it can be very toxic because of the things that we're exposed to or hyper exposed to. But while I was, in a 2-bedroom home with like 5-6 people, I was trying to figure out how to brand, how to business, how do people connect with other people. And when Instagram came out, I saw, hijab and how they were taking pictures and like promoting. And I was like, I want to be a part of this. So I would be at the church on Fleming Street, take pictures there, and then it would end up in Dubai. You know what I'm saying? So it's miraculous in its own way, which has certain blessings of getting out there. But it's true, it can get skewed so easily, because what happens is I'm posting pictures of clothes that I'm receiving from these brands. People in our community think, oh, she got it like that. She's well off and she's posting these pretty pictures. I'm in an alley looking for a nice little, background just to take a photo and post it. So no, it's not everything what it comes out to be, but it can be very helpful and it can be very detrimental. But it is up to us to be like, okay, where are we going? Which way are we going? And to be independent on that aspect can be an amazing thing, because it can get you, I would have never connected with you guys like that, right? If it wasn't for social media.
Yeah.
But we have to start remembering like what we're promoting and what is our purpose again. And I think that's where I'm on. So
No, those are great points. I definitely agree with that. How social media, obviously has their positives and negatives, and and so what does social media do? It allows people also to attack people.
Yeah.
And it allows people to have
Share their
access.
opinion that's not needed.
And so a major opinion, the reason why we had this conversation is because of this next question right here. It's a huge backlash that happens. And remember, I'm asking the question, so don't attack, but I'm also trying to set it up. Okay?
Yeah. Go
A huge thing is, because guys, we like to think that, we're doing our roles correctly. Okay. And so, when you talk about a Muslim household, the role, I forgot the word that you used. Yeah. And so men feel like they're playing that role correctly.
They confuse it between authority and like guardianship.
Yeah.
It's like they're supposed to, they're the caregiver, like they take care of us, like financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. They think control. It's just authority.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sorry.
No, it's okay. But I'm kind of leading to that point is, men obviously feel like that households may have or are being broken because of the media. And the roles that people are not fulfilling in the household. And so I guess what are some of the challenges and backlash that Muslim women face, and how do you navigate through that?
Not just in social, like
just
independence.
in general, independence. Like what are some of the backlash that you face, and like how do y'all navigate through all those kind of societal pressures and and expectations?
Key example is like wanting to be low key because you don't want to be too opinionated, right? Because people are going to judge. I have a hard time when it comes to like marriage and all that prospect stuff sometimes, because you can portray yourself in one way, but then you're another thing, right? So like social media's judgment can be so harsh. You have to have extreme thick skin. And I mean, it's destroyed me at one point where I'm like, do I even want to do this? And I take major breaks. Like I go recluse sometimes because I'm like, it can get very heavy. People will pick you apart if they want to. They will pick on your features, your looks, the way you dress, the way you talk. They'll pick on your family if they could. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that'll get to your heart. So you have to have extreme thick skin, and you got to know how to bounce back from it. And it's true. I have seen social media break many families apart. And that's what we need to like bring into attention and be like, okay, social media is cool. Do it for network, business, information. But remember, there's still a family life. There's still home, right? So we have to kind of understand how to integrate both of them.
How about you? I bet it.
I'm gonna say something controversial, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes, when men see a very successful woman, they are intimidated by them. Like they don't want to approach a very successful woman because they still seem like maybe that she's out of their league, or she's just too much, or she's gonna want to run the house, and that's not the case.
No.
That's not the case at all. It's and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I really do think that when a man sees a successful woman, maybe a little bit like, maybe she has a better job than him or whatever, he doesn't go for that. He would rather go for a girl that is, that is not as successful, like, that he feels, more successful.
Listen, we let you slide earlier when
I'm
you were
just
talking
saying.
about minerals, all right?
I don't know.
Let me
That's my opinion.
Let me piggyback off of this, okay?
Not
'Cause-
all men. Maybe not
so
all men. I don't want to say all men.
This is my issue, okay? With that said, there's probably some truth to what you just said. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, obviously every man has different opinions, so I can't sit here and speak for everyone. But from my perspective, listen, I'm all about women empowerment, women speaking up, women, working, following your dreams. I'm all about that. But in the confines of what is already agreed upon beforehand, and so, like, what I'm trying to say is, I feel like now it's like they almost
Just say it, Ahmad.
No, I'm just saying they just want to be the in the front line.
Who?
Woman.
I don't think they
And
want.
what's wrong with that
No,
if
no,
they
no,
want to be
no,
on the front line?
yeah.
No. Hold on.
I know. So it's okay. I'm telling you, there's
I'm
so-
on your side.
What's
What
wrong if
I-
they want to be on the front floor?
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you have men, and again, I'm speaking from comments from.
Oh, you
Yeah.
about to get
from
canceled,
whatever.
Ahmad. Watch out.
Listen,
No, you're not.
I started off
I'm
with
messing
saying
with
that
you.
I'm all about it, okay? But I'm just saying, like, let's say you have qualified people,
Yeah.
men, forget
Okay.
people, to do the role that the woman is trying to, like, whatever call. Like, don't you feel like that it's almost a smarter decision to allow the man to do that role, and just so that the woman is not putting herself in a position of vulnerability or being attacked or anything like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, does
See,
that make sense?
You're trying to say like for her safety and protection, right? But then it goes back of what Abir was saying. There's guardianship and then there's authority. You can protect her and guide her and be that person. If she wants to be on that, front line, could you be secure enough to protect her when all that stuff comes in?
The answer is yes.
But you don't want to.
But would it be easier
Yeah.
if that was not the case? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Let me tell you. I think I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Sometimes, listen, I could speak for myself. Okay, if there's somebody that's capable of doing it, I will let that person do it.
That's what I'm trying to
but
tell
I
you.
don't think that there's capable people to do it
But
sometimes.
what if there is?
But I haven't had that situation. You know what I'm saying?
saying?
So let me tell you something right now. Do you think, okay, what I was trying to explain, beforehand, is that for women, we're gonna be successful, but we're not gonna downplay ourselves to make somebody feel good, right? But at the same time, instead of a man seeing a woman that's successful and being like, oh, she wants all that, we don't want all that. We needed to do that so we can be able to basically survive and have our own. Do you think like that as a woman that is a successful woman is going to be upset if her husband or future husband tells her, hey, I'm going to work. I got this. I got a family. You take, you relax. You think she's going to say no? No. She might.
I don't know.
Listen.
I don't know. Like, that's fine not to say no to working and all that. Like, that's like, because to be honest with you, I can't imagine being at home all day. Like, I always tell myself that, like, I don't know how people do that. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, and that's just an example of like work. I'm giving examples, like, for instance, like events, or protests, or like where you're putting yourself in vulnerable situations.
Yeah, but I don't even think people, Ahmad, are doing anything. That's why women are stepping up.
And that 100%,
That's what it is.
and that's why they
It's
get the
not
kudos. I'm just saying in general, if there is a situation, and remember, we're talking about Muslim women. We're not talking about anything else right now, because you know how it is. So if there's ever a situation, I'm just giving examples. I think that's like where the issue is becoming is you got people who see stuff happening, and it's like now it's like, I mean, I don't know. We're in a gray area.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand this whole situation. So if a woman wants to speak up and do something different, or, you know, let's say she wants to protest, or she wants to start a social media, or she wants to, you know, follow her passion. I think what men, it requires security from them to allow her to do that. I understand there's a safety and protection that needs to be, you know, but that's what you guys are here for, is to help us. That's what families here. That's what brotherhood and husbands and dads. My dad, I remember when I started social media, the community was like, oh, she's doing it for a boy, you know? And my dad, he's like, are you doing this for a boy? I was like, Dad, you know, like, yeah, I'm getting clothes from like different companies for a boy, you know? And then he's like, okay, fine. So it started off that way, but it's just like, my family wasn't for it. My family was not for social media at all. Like I had.
Did you understand that part?
I understood it.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is that I couldn't be that person to sit at home or like follow a certain role. Like it wasn't in me to do that. So I started social media to connect with the world, to get out there, to, you know, like just
Build a name for yourself.
build a name for myself, to get out of this shadow of what was taught to us growing up, that we have to stay at home. But I understand where you're coming from in the sense of protecting and having that. But again, it comes down to, is it control or is it guardianship?
Yeah.
And what I want to add on to that is, if there, like, for me personally, if there is a person that is capable, go ahead. You know, I'm all for it. But I feel like a lot of the women are stepping up because there isn't men doing what they need to do, especially when it comes to, you know,
I think that's like the
protesting.
problem right now with, you know, the roles in this situation. Don't you all agree that this is kind of what you're dealing with? And don't get me wrong, unfortunately with women, like that's what they are going, they have to get over that. Like every household has men that's gonna push you not to do what it is that you're trying to do, and then you have to keep proving yourself until we finally be like, okay, you know what, she has proved herself. And it's one of those things. I'm just trying to start that, you know.
It's not even social media though. I remember when I went to go to college, and like my dad was like, nah, it's okay. And not college, work. I wanted to work for the first time during college. And he's like, nah, that's okay. I was like, Dad, you're going to drop me off to work. And then he dropped me off. He's like, okay, this is fine. Like they have to see it to see what it's going to benefit for you, because they're scared, right?
It's
Yeah.
new.
It's new.
Yeah.
But it's true. I can attest to the fact that there is a dark side to, like, especially when it comes to social media, there is a dark side. And if you don't have a support system, then it can get really bad. But if a woman wants to follow her, and this is Muslim women in general, right? If they want to pursue a career, if they want to pursue their passion, we need a support system. And I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And like I said, from Muslim women, from me, myself in general, if there's a good, if you're married to a good leader, they will understand. You'll have communication. You'll know, you know, you'll have an agreement in your family and what works for your family. What some families, hey, it works for them to have their wife at, you know, not working or whatever. And some families, both people need to be working. And it all depends on that communication. But the support is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't be able to do anything that I'm doing if I didn't know that I have my family behind my back.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I'm
what's
saying?
the mission, right? What's the mission behind it? Are you serving a community? Are you doing it like for a greater purpose? What is the point of it? If you're just doing it, I just want to get like a few likes and then, you know, call it a cute date, then it's different, right?
Yeah.
But if there's a bigger purpose to it, then that support system needs to kick in.
And women are only independent because they have to be. Like,
And they should be, you know?
they should, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes people get their degree and they don't use it. They don't go to work
That's
because
true.
they have a husband that's providing and taking care of them and, you know, giving them
Yeah.
everything they need.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're only kind of, I mean,
Do you think that there's still women out there that are like that right there, where that are okay with?
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
But
are? Okay.
there's not a lot of men out there that are holding it down by
Yeah.
themselves. There's not.
If there was like protection,
basic.
if there was, you know, genuine love, if there was everything taken care of, we'd be like, all right, cool. You
Who
know,
doesn't
we'll
want
do
to
it.
live this life?
You know?
Well, look, there's times where I'm like, you know, if everything was taken care of, literally everything. And like the thing is with me, like I feel like, because I have a son,
Yeah.
so I feel like I'm never gonna ask another man to take care of. Like, I don't know, just it's just
It's hard.
a personal thing.
Yeah, it is hard.
So I think I'll always want to work, you know, just so I could take care of mine. But mashallah, he's a man soon. But you know, 100%, I feel like that will bring us back to the nurturer and the provider. That'll put us back in where we're naturally supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of the times we lose that nurture side and that feminine side because we're hustling and bustling and worrying about everything and the bills and it's too much. We're not meant for all of that.
You know who wants to live that soft life?
Who?
Sister Fatima.
Yes, she does.
You know.
Yes.
We had
Low key, every woman wants to have a soft life.
Do you? Okay. I mean,
Ultimately,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like we don't want. I mean, yes, there's gonna be some innate, feature like structure where we're like, yeah,
You want
I'm
a purpose.
the purpose, the boss, whatever. But ultimately, nobody wants to be like scraping for things,
No.
Yeah.
Having a million tabs open in their head,
Yeah.
worrying about, groceries and work and the way that I look. And there's so much that we as women have to deal with on top of that bills and everything else. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with that.
Well, we're gonna run an ad break because I almost got canceled right there. I don't know if I got out of that situation or not. We're gonna have to let
You
the
did.
audience.
You did.
I did.
Yeah.
I came out of it. All right, thank goodness. Last ad of today. Then we're gonna move into the final third of the show. Believe it or not. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to Hanley International Academy. Why not, Yusuf? We haven't given them a shout out in a minute. So shout out to Hanley, and then we'll keep things rolling. Let's be honest. If you're looking for the place that has the best K-8 school for your child, then the choice should be easy, and that's Hanley International Academy. Hanley International Academy is a school that treats every student and staff like their own family. It's even in their vision statement, educating your child like our own. The academics there are great. The athletics there are great. Thank you to the staff and administrators at Hanley for educating our leaders of tomorrow. To learn more about Hanley, you can visit their website at hanleyacademy.com or call them at 313-875-8888. But
that's
so
I
yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
say something too.
Yeah.
I think you could say it with this question because it's the basic question of
Okay.
is woman independence in Islam a good or bad
Like
thing?
now I'm sitting up and I'm just like, oh.
So is woman
Why is that even a question? Why is that even
You
a
know what I'm
question?
So go ahead. Why is that even a question you're saying?
Why is that even a question? Why is a woman's independence a bad thing? That should never be even up for a question. I think a woman being independent is always going to be a good thing. I think women need to be independent, whether she lives a soft life or not. Even if you're living in the house, because you don't want anyone to like cut you and you don't know what you're doing. You're like sheltered and you're just like, all right, yeah. So like ultimately, it's always going to be a good thing for women to be independent. Always. That's not even a question.
If they have a problem with women being independent, they're insecure.
Yeah.
Why don't you worry about your independence? Why don't you worry about building yourself? Why are you afraid that a couple women,
Yeah.
are becoming independent? Why are you afraid?
A secure man will never feel like it's a bad thing.
And don't you want Allah, like you said, something happens or like they cut you off or whatever, the mother of your kids or your sister or your like to be able to hold herself up and not, have to beg basically for money. And like I've heard situations of women, they'd be like, oh, I don't want to ask my husband because he's gonna say no. I'm like, oh, I can't
I can
imagine
never.
that.
I
I cannot imagine asking my
say
husband
no to me. What?
and him saying no, you can't get that.
No.
Like, and if it's basic, not like something big, I'm not sitting here like,
Yeah.
unnecessary stuff. But it's like for like a coffee or something. Like I'm like, what the heck? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard, believe me, girls that
No, I've heard a girl talk about the other day recently, and she was like, I don't know how to put gas in my car. She's older than me.
oh, that's nice.
She's like, I'm like, that's a nice life you've lived.
I know.
Like, she's like,
But you gotta learn how to
But now
live.
she has to because she ended the relationship.
haram.
So she's like, I don't know how to put gas in my car. I was like, oh my god, like, so.
So you're gonna say something. I thought that maybe this question would get to it. Was that what what you wanted to say before?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I lost my.
No, your question was before this was about the protest, right?
Yeah, I was. So I'm gonna quickly just let people
Yeah.
know like what led me to asking the questions
Oh,
beforehand.
okay. Now I remember what I was going to say.
Was we had a person on the show, a female on the show, who talked about last year, maybe around this time, where U of M, there was protests happening at U of M campus. And there was a video that circulated where a lot of women were getting shoved and pushed by the police there and by the workers and stuff like that. And so we had her on the show. She talked about it, the whole experience. And then we pulled a clip out where she kind of was just saying, like, telling the men, like, we shouldn't be out there doing this. Y'all should be out there. And Then so a lot of the comments came back saying that, you know, the men were saying that, you know, the problem is the woman. They should not be out there anyways in the first place. There's enough men out there to, you know, be out there to protect them, that they should not be in the front line. So kind of what...
Listen, when I was in high school, anytime there was something that we had to fight for, the boys didn't do nothing. It was always us going up to the principal. We need this and we need that. Like, I remember Life Touch refused to come take our photos because there was not enough seniors, so they could and I was like, no, but we need a yearbook. And I ended up creating the whole yearbook for the class. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Like, boys don't do anything, especially when they're younger. That's why I'm calling them boys. I'm pretty sure those. Thank you. I'm pretty sure the females that were at the protest, they're the ones that organized it because they needed it. It's an issue that's happening in the school, and to be honest with you, they're only gonna put themselves in that position if they didn't have no other choice. No one's gonna want to get hurt,
and that's what comes with a mission, right? You have to take that risk. So like that's what I'm talking about. Like if she said men should be out there with them.
That's what she was saying.
Not in place of them.
Yeah.
And they took it as, oh, we should be out there, not you guys.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference here? So like we're asking for support and they're like, well, we got this. So
well, then
again,
do it, because they're not.
But even if you're doing, I should still be, if I wanted to show up for a purpose, I should still be able to show up for a purpose. You shouldn't be like, no, it's too dangerous for you, go home. You know, like show up next to me, be right there. So it's like, we're asking for the support, show up. That's it.
No, this is a great point. I mean, I like this. I like where the conversation is going, because these are great talking points. And obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and, you know, because that's not me. I'm not that person. You know, I'm not that person that's going to.
It takes a very brave female to go to protest, because between me and you guys, like, to be honest with you, it's not my thing. I feel like, dang, there's only one of me and I have a kid and he needs me. Like, if anything happens, I don't try to put myself in those situations.
Yeah.
It takes very brave women, you know, to do that. And mashallah alayhin, like, good for them and kudos to them. But like you said, if they had the men around them, then it wouldn't even be this we wouldn't even have this conversation, because they'll have that support. And then when that pushing and shoving came, then the men would have stood up. You think the girls would be like, no, we got this?
Yeah.
No, they ain't gonna do that.
And a woman can do so much more if she has that support, if she has that protection. Like, even in the background, if something were to happen to me and I go home and I'd be like, oh, it's one of my brothers, you know, if I remember growing up when we were kids, it was like this for me. Like, my brother, if he heard anything happen to any of us, then he would step in.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd act however we wanted, you know? But like, once that protection is
I'm gonna tell my brother.
Yeah. I didn't even have to say that. That's how protected we were. I didn't even have to say a word. But then once that kind of, because you grow older, that kind of, you know, dissipates, then you kind of become a little more timid. You kind of watch what you say, do, because you don't have that protection anymore.
That's true.
So it's like, that's what we're asking for. It's like, just protect us so we can go and do our part.
So I want to say something too, as well, to add on to that. So I've seen this other video. So you know how videos kind of like touch you in a certain way, or like they, you know, it triggers something. And there was this one guy, and he was like, you know, my wife, he's like, I'm going to have her set up in a way where when she goes out, people will look at her like, dang, she's taken care of. I can't even do that. I can't even mess with that. So for he's like, I'm not going to let her go put oil in her gas. That's a situation that she can be in that maybe harm can come to her. I'm not going to have her, you know, fill up her tank, because then somebody can basically approach her. So like, in a way, he's protecting her in a way of not even letting her go to those certain things, because he's taking care of it. Do you think she's gonna be like, no, I want to get my own gas, or no, I want to put oil on my own car, no, I want to change my own tire? No one's gonna do that unless they have to do that. If the man or the person that's in charge, like the qawwam, the one that, you know, is the guardian of her, the one that's supposed to take care of her, if he's taking care of everything, she won't be in those situations.
Yeah, for her to get in touch with her feminine side, she has to have the masculinity protection.
Mm-hmm.
My only question is, what about those situations where that's not happening?
What do you mean?
Where the woman is still doing the stuff?
I really don't think there's a woman out there that will fight for that.
No, it is. It is. You're right. It is.
You can't say that, because there is.
But that's where women become the masculine. That's where.
And so even if, let's say there is
then
someone,
she needs a manly man, and that man.
But that's not. But that's not. Forget
Exactly.
having a man, right?
You're blaming the man. In this
No.
situation.
Forget having a man. It's at the end of the day, she has to. This is where independence comes from. Like, if she doesn't know how to be independent, then she won't know how to handle herself in these situations. And that's where it's key for young girls to know, like, a man is not the ultimate protection. At the end of the day, we would like that. That's a great support system. But if we have to protect ourselves, then we need to learn how to protect ourselves. And that's bottom line. Yeah.
But what you're saying, though, because I just want to make sure that you're saying that she does have the situation, but she still wants to.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, like, what does she still want to do?
She still wants to be, be on the front lines in certain situations that.
Then he should be next to her. We already answered that situation.
Okay, or she wants to still, go out and pump her own gas when the man is willing to pump her own gas.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if she wants to do it, she should do it.
I mean, that's a simple example. Like I'm trying to find the right situation. You know how pretty much
like
situations where a man is.
You think she's gonna want to cut the grass if her husband wants to cut the grass?
A man is already gonna take care of the situation, but she still goes out and does stuff that pretty much
because she wants to feel like she's not being caged in. Okay.
But do you guys think that's okay?
Yeah.
How about you, Abed? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that. Because if you're gonna allow, if you have a leader, I think if your husband is a leader or your man is a leader.
But forget having a man. There's no man in this picture.
Then she has to do it.
Yeah.
No. There is a man in the picture.
He's saying there is a man.
There is a leader.
I'm
proper
gonna
leader.
allow if he has I'm gonna allow him to lead. I'm sorry. In my situation, I will allow you to lead.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was wondering.
That's my opinion. 110%. Why you mean? Hello, I only do things because I have to do them.
No.
My son,
you.
mashallah.
I'm saying in general.
But
if there's a man that's a good
the way
leader.
that I'm. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the thing. The reason why women want to do it, even if they have a leader, is to feel like they're not caged in.
Okay.
Okay, that they're not fitting into these cultural barriers or standards that were set for them. So even if they don't have to fill up their gas, even if they don't have to fix their car, but they have someone who is fixing their car, but they feel like, you know what? Maybe one day I feel like doing it. You should let them do it. If they want to learn that, I think what is it that's the fear behind if a woman wants to do that? What is it?
We want to go with specific examples?
Anything,
okay,
yeah.
Going to the gas station, a guy's trying to holler at her. Now you got a bigger problem that's trying.
Or a bum trying to go up to the car.
Now you got a bigger problem.
I don't.
A bigger problem.
My son gets my gas because I'm like, I don't want these bums coming up to me.
Of a simple thing that I would have done in the first place.
But okay, so in these situations, you're trying to shelter her to protect her. But if she's independent, she'll know how to maneuver through that situation. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if she's taught, when a guy approaches you, boy, bye.
But Ruma, let me tell you, I swear to you, I'm only doing this for those at home that are watching this.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give examples so people.
Yeah.
These are talking points.
Yeah.
But now you just got an argument at home for that.
But that's where the security from the man comes from. And that's where his support comes from. That's exactly what it goes back to. It's we need his support and security in us to know that we can handle this. If a man hollers at us, boy, bye, right? But then if I go home, I tell my man, hey, this happened. He should be like, what did you say? And I said what I said. Khalas, done, right? That should be the conversation. There should be no argument because that's insecurity on the man's side. My girl, I feel kind of, and it's fine. You want to protect her. But then there's this situation. You have to be secure enough to be like, my girl's got it. This girl's got it. You have to have that. Or else it's never going to work. It's going to be arguments and fights.
That secure word is just, it's a very slippery slope nowadays. And I feel like in a lot of Muslim households, because, a lot of people are overprotective.
No, the right man will make the right decisions.
It's even in our I think a man should understand that a woman is not, I don't even know how to say this. The security comes from knowing that it's not a power play. She's not trying to outshine you. She's not trying to be more of a man than you. She's just literally trying to find herself and her path and her passion, right? And it's a man is praised for doing the most basic thing, but a woman is not. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So we don't give moms their credits, right? Because we think, that's just an expectation. And then same with men, this is boys will be boys and men will do their own thing. But it's we let them dismiss it, and then for us, it's a different type of dismissive. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
No, good points. Great points. So going off of that,
yeah,
kind of good question right here is, there are people out there who'd only want to marry a spouse who is focused on their role. The old school traditional roles, which is man the provider, woman the nurturers. And so they only want to marry them for those things, vice versa. A woman wants to marry a man as a provider, and she wants to be the nurturer, and a man wants to marry a woman who's a nurturer and not trying to even think about being a provider.
Yeah.
Just what are your thoughts on that? Are y'all Is that okay? I mean, obviously everyone's different, and if whatever
wait.
floats their boat, floats their boat.
A woman wants to marry a man because he is a provider, and that's
she
a soul belief.
she just wants to be a nurturer.
Okay.
And a man wants to marry a woman who's just a nurturer because he's going to be the provider. Like, what are your thoughts on
Like
those
traditional roles.
traditional roles? Or, you know, what are your just thoughts on it? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be against it or nothing. Just what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's everyone's preference. I think there's a time for everything. I think depending on, you know, your goals as a unit, because I feel like a lot of the times when people get into relationships, the man has his own goals, the girl has her own goals, and there's no like goals that they're working towards together, because you can easily lose sight of your partner if you have your own thing and only worrying about your own self and not what you're doing in your life. You can lose each other that way. So you should have what you want to do, but you should also have goals that are common, that you're working towards something, you know? So let's say that this is you just got married, you know, you're young, you don't have a house yet or whatever, you're renting, then both of you guys are working and you're, you know, and that works for you, then that works for you. Now let's say that, you know, you're older, you have a great career, you want to have children, you meet a girl, she's like, yes, I want to have kids too, and I don't want to work, and that works for you guys, and she stays at home, she's a nurturer. But I think the ultimate goal is for the woman to become the nurturer and the man to be the, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the preference, like she said, it's personal preference, and if that's what they ultimately want to go back to, then they can, you know. And it's gonna depend on like the people itself. Like if I agree that this is gonna be happening, but then it changes throughout the years, then those two have to come together and understand that roles may switch and then come back to it.
And I've also met people that started off with the woman being the nurturer and the man being the provider, right? And their kids grew up and they are in school, and then the one wanted to go back to school, or she wanted to work.
Yep.
And that's okay too. But I think everybody needs to know what they really want deep down inside and be true to who they are. And like there's someone for everyone, you know what I'm saying? And then literally just stick to that and not have to act a certain way, you know, and then problems start. Just like communicate, talk, and really understand your preference and what you want.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. And so, Ruma, we're going to let you answer this one first, which is the last written down question, is looking ahead, what do you envision for the future of Muslim women's independence?
I just want Muslim women to know that they are not second-class citizens, that Islam does protect their rights, that a lot of times cultural barriers do come in the way of how we're supposed to be, and that to follow their passion and purpose and find people, and especially their spouse or building a family, find someone that's secure, you know, someone that's educated. It doesn't matter if it's formal education or not, but, you know, cultured or known about life, and work through that security. Someone who can ground you, help you. And I hope Muslim women know that they are just as important, you know, hijab, no hijab, prayer, no prayer, just like, you know, in their faith, that they're always loved no matter what.
I love that. Go ahead and give that a round of applause. That's a great answer. She was ready for that one, I can tell you that. No, that was coming from the heart, for sure. Abir, same question. Future.
I just want basically all Muslim women out there to know their worth, know that they are just as great as a man, and that they can take care of themselves, and that they can build themselves, educate themselves, buy land if they want to, you know, start a business if they want to. It's limitless, their capabilities. But at the same time, just keep Allah and His word at the forefront, and everything else will follow through. I don't think that they should limit themselves or put themselves in a box in order to fit in to society or to culture or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, you know, like, you know, marriage is half of their deen. Finding the right person and really compromising and understanding that no one's perfect. But at the same time, if they work on themselves and they know who they are and they know what they want, to stick that ground, because everybody needs to do that work. I feel like if everybody just works on themselves first and becomes the person that they want, you know, and becomes that person that they think can, you know, be in a relationship that can, you know, because I really think that people are jumping into relationships, they're not ready themselves. So like once you really know who you are, you built yourself, you became the person that you want to be, and then subhanAllah, you'll attract that as well. And just keep God and His word in the forefront. Everything else will follow through.
Yeah,
That was a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was all over the place.
No, for
so.
sure. And so, I mean, I just want to say this too. You know, this conversation, obviously, I was wanted to put them in positions to say answers, you know, that will allow us to have conversations that people are, like I said, you know, I started off the show, stuff that people are talking about behind closed doors or just maybe are afraid to discuss. But, you know, I just want people to know that, you know, me, how I treat this situation, you know, I always, like you mentioned, you know, my wife, I tell her, I try to set her up in a situation where, God forbid, Allah qal, that if something were to ever happen to me, that she can still hold stuff down. You know, that's the way I do it. So she's, you know, independent, but also respective of, you know, the you know, the relationship that we have and the roles that we have as well. And then my daughters, same way. That's how I raise them. That's how I teach them. I have 2 daughters, and you know, one tells me she wants to be a doctor. I always try to, you know, hype her up to be the best doctor that she can be in the world. And the little one says she wants to be a mermaid. So I tell her she can be the best mermaid that she wants to be in the world. You know, so that's just kind of the way that we have to teach our women, our daughters, our girls, to kind of, you know, prepare themselves for the real world. This is not back in the days, thousands of years ago. This is 2024. Life has changed. You know, adapt to kind of where you are, but also have that balance of respect. And
I do want to add, though, you know, our religion protects women, and it tells the men in our families to take care of their women. It doesn't just mean take care of them by just, you know, by telling them what to do. It means take care of them physically, emotionally, mentally, be their support. Let them know that you're there for them. Let them know that they're not alone, because a woman, when she feels alone, it's not a good thing. It really does take away the nurture part of us, because then we become in survival mode.
Yeah.
So men, take care of your sisters, daughters, mothers, wives, whatever the case, you know, all of that, grandmothers, but just at the same time, be their support. And if they want to become, you know, better and learn and advance in their education and their physical, like whatever the case may be that support for her.
Ruma, you got any final words and final comments that you want to add on?
I think there's so much still to say, because I feel like we touched just the surface.
There's so many topics.
There's so many topics, but I feel like this was a good start. And I appreciate what you guys are doing and bringing this to their community. And like, hopefully that, you know, next time maybe we can talk more on what the comments are from men, so we understand that perspective and we can still say our side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to do in between hand, but maybe I'll actually have some like specific comments.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read off a comment and
Yeah.
be like,
Oh, God.
hey, share
Yeah.
your thoughts on this one right here.
Because we're coming from a woman's perspective and how we've been treated and how we've been on the sidelines of watching it, right? But we don't know what men feel all the time. And we got your perspective on certain things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
something.
probably the men at home are gonna
Yeah.
watch this and be like, man, Ahmad was soft.
Listen, we're not trying to attack. Basically, my whole point for me, what I'm trying to say, like kind of today, is like if men were men, then they wouldn't be worried about us women becoming
Don't
independent.
do that, Abir.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You wouldn't worry about it.
Don't end the show
That's
like
secure.
that. We were all on common ground.
That's it.
She started
Men were men, then they wouldn't be afraid of women becoming independent.
No, I think men.
Air horn, something. You know.
If boys were men, I guess, because they're, you know, not if men are men. That's just me. I really stand behind that.
I think
in the back
no,
enjoying
because
every
I think men just support and secure women. Don't feel like you always need to be on the background. Like, go ahead, stand
Okay,
side
that's
by
your
side, and
final?
go ahead if you want to be on the front line. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy that. You know, they're laughing, they're cracking up here. Can you show these different angles? They're having a great time now. But again, this was season 4, episode 9 of Motivate Me 313. We talked about women's independence in Islam. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation. Like Ruma and Abid said, this might be one of many topics that we can discuss in the future and break it down even more. Might have to bring Ruma back again, Ruma. So I just want to throw that out there.
Definitely.
Because people
Might
need
be
to. People need to hear your answers now on the other side.
Although
We'll
this is
see.
our own opinion, and at the end of the day, like honestly, I want to end it with something else too, because I wish I could follow everything that the Quran says. Like if that's what the man's role is, and then I will follow that completely. And in every aspect in life, when it comes to, you know, being married, when it comes to, you know, the independence of a woman, when it comes to getting divorced, just inshallah we can follow just what the Quran says.
Yeah,
love that.
You know,
ultimately,
because
yeah.
that's the goal.
That's the goal
That's
for
the goal,
everyone,
yeah.
realistically, at the end
Yeah.
of the day. It should be the goal if it's not.
Yeah.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under Oz Media. Search it up. That's how you can follow us. If not, you can just go on our website. All of it is on there, ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors again, Hanley International Academy, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Juice Box, Melly Kebab, Jebed Coffee House, Royal Kebab. Shout out to Yusuf. Shout out to Ibe Ruma. I know we said final comments. Any last things you want to also close it out, and we'll go from there.
No, we'll just wait for next time.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed it, and be sure to follow us. And hopefully we'll have a part 2 to this. And if you have any talking points discussions, reach out to us. Maybe we'll get you on the show as well. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all next time.